Disclaimer. These stories will contain graphic depictions of horror elements, including, but not limited to, gore, graphic depictions of violence, body horror, murder, just all the horror. So please exercise caution when listening. Good evening. Welcome to Sniper's Creepy Crypt, the spookiest place in the here and there, the place between where you're coming from and where you might never leave. I am Sniper Shadow, and I am here in this our month of the horror and macabre to bring you tales of the utmost terrifying. These tales are not my own. I simply overhear them from passers-by. Sniper's Creepy Crypt is open for 31 days and 31 days only, before it disappears for another year. So join us for some horror from the depths of the hell dimensions.
On the 22nd of November, a rescue party, led by Dr. Markin Insalada, into the Duluth Arrow Caves of Pompeii discovered a damaged tape recorder tied up in a piece of white guideline. In none of the 4 excursions were the missing parties in question ever found, nor any of their supplies save for the length of guideline and the tape recorder attached to it. It serves as the only record of the events which the parties in question experienced. 17 entries of substantial length were recorded, as well as several other shorter entries that appear to have been recorded by mistake, as no speech is audible for their duration. What follows is a transcription of the audio which appears in those 17 entries.
This is Dr. Mason Perry. September 12, 1996. Aircraft over the Pacific Ocean, 4:41 Pacific Standard Time. In the Duluth Arrow Caves of the Micronesian state of Pompeii, there is a breed of lizard with one of the most remarkable defense mechanisms among known reptiles. It has developed the ability to hurl rocks from the cave floor where it dwells with lethal velocity, at targets dozens of feet overhead. Nobody is quite sure why it has developed this ability, as the few specimens currently available were found wandering around outside their natural cavernous habitats. My colleagues and I are traveling to Pompeii to study the lizards in its natural environment. On the first trip of its kind, to attempt to discover the purpose for which this unique behavior has been adapted. The reason no such expedition has yet been attempted despite the knowledge of the lizard's existence within the scientific community for 60-odd years is the various local reports of the danger of the caves. The folklore of the indigenous Taton people, native to the area for thousands of years, tell that the progeny of the earth demon Bandulith dwell within these caves, guarding the entrance to a subterranean kingdom. These demon children are said to slay any who attempt to make passage through the caves, which were sealed off until roughly 1,000 years ago with heavy rocks which covered the mouths of the cave range. They were moved to construct ancient buildings by foolish men. Folklore is simply folklore, of course. The Taton are not an isolated tribe. They are a perfectly modern people, and seldom take the old myths and legends of their culture as literal fact. However, on 2 separate occasions within the last 70 years, young men have set out into the caves to prove their bravery and returned with terrified tales, having seen creatures exactly like those described in the old legends. They told of large 4-legged animals with pale, translucent skin, characteristic of cave albinism. These creatures had severely arched backs, from each of the 4 corners of which protruded spindly limbs bisected by single outward-facing joints, at the bottom tips of which were flat feet. They lumbered about like awkward spiders with wriggling left-to-right motion of their bodies, which appeared flexible. They had 2 large immobile protrusions on their backs, which were thought to conceal wings, though they were never seen to fly. Jutting out from between their front 2 legs was a round head with a single enormous red eye which blinked rapidly. Both young men having seen them only at a great distance and safely from high above, described them as living in a group of perhaps 30 or 40, constantly murmuring in a low buzz. When this group spotted the young intruders, they suddenly let out high-pitched shriek, which in both cases frightened off their visitors. The latter young man claims that he was initially mobilized with utter terror, and was able to summon the strength to run only after they darted towards him with terrifying speed. Because of these sightings, belief in the children of Bandulaf has persisted among the Tanetian, and they refuse to go in the caves. My colleagues and I suspect what the young men believe they experienced was heavily colored by the local legends. However, we appreciate that some sort of large crustacean may live within the caves all the same, and as such have taken certain safety precautions. We have brought binoculars with night vision capabilities so that we may make our observations at a safe distance from any cave life, and without the need for artificial light sources which may alert it to our presence. To the latter end, I am also taking research notes verbally with this dictaphone to avoid the need for light by which to write, should our headlamps need to be turned off. Because no guides for the caves exist, we have brought several thousand feet of highly durable cord with which to mark our path as we traverse the caves. Each of the 4 of us also has semi-automatic handguns with 15 rounds. Hopefully we won't need to use these last. This is Dr. Mason Perry, September 14th, 1996, mouth of Duluth Arrow Minor. 3:18 a.m., Greenwich Mean Time, plus 11 hours. We are preparing our descent into the Duluth Arrow Minor, the smaller of the 2 largest caves in the Duluth Arrow range. We would have preferred to select a cave other than the one in which the children of Bandulaf had been reportedly sighted. But this was the only one of the 6 caves in the range that the local Tanetian guides were able or willing to lead us to. We have suited up with all of our necessary gear for a scientific spelunking adventure, including a 3-day supply of water and food. Our aim is to remain in the caves for a maximum of 18 hours on this trip. If it should happen that we need more time to find the rock-tail lizard on a single expedition, we will return better prepared for a longer stay. Still, one can never be too cautious. I am joined on this trip by Dr. Jeanette Briggs and William Kinsiad. Dr. Markin Ensalada fell ill after ignoring our group's admonitions and sampling a rather exotic local dish upon landing, and so will not be joining us on this initial expedition.
It's going to miss all the fun.
Should it happen that we do discover a new species of crustacean within these caves, we will make an informal note for the benefit of our colleague back in the States.
Okay, Mason. The lines are tied off. We're ready to go.
This is Dr. Mason Perry, September 14th, 1996. Inside the Duluth Arrow Minor. 4:36 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time plus 11 hours. I am currently watching a mature rock-tail lizard specimen lift and sort rocks. When the lizard lifts a rock, he will turn it over several times in his prehensile tail, then set it back where he found it. If he comes upon a flaw in the rock, he tosses it up and out of the way of the cave floor. It seems as though the lizard spends some time making sure that the rock supply is more usable in an event of an emergency. Look, Mason, a batch onto the ceiling.
Did you guys see that? Jesus, that thing is fucking fast. The lizard, it picked up a rock, and then the bat fell off the ceiling. It happened so fast. Didn't even see it throw. The lizard is currently eating the bat that you just killed. You know, Jeanette, we thought that this was a self-defense mechanism, but it looks like a hunting. Holy shit. What was that?
Jesus, Mason, did you see it? The lizard was trying to hit it, I think. It scared it off.
Dr. Perry Mason, September 14th, 1996, inside the Duluth Arrow Miner, 4:45 a.m. Dr. Briggs saw one of the children. We now suspect that it is an arachnid, or possibly some sort of insect rather than a crustacean. It was climbing on the ceiling when it happened. We didn't notice it, but the rock-tailed lizard sure did. It whipped a series of rocks up with shocking speed. Dr. Briggs was the only one of the three of us to follow the trajectory of the rocks quickly enough to catch a glimpse of it. According to Dr. Briggs, it was probably close to 5 feet in total length, and stood perhaps 2 feet high. She didn't get a good look at the creature, but she did confirm a single blinking red eye in the center of its head.
I'm not sure about this, Mason. You didn't see what I saw. I don't want to be anywhere near that thing. I say we head back.
Dr. Briggs is understandably shook up about the whole thing. Dr. Kinsiad and I, however, are anxious to press on. Perhaps it's just because we want to get a good look at these children ourselves. The young men who visited these caves reported that they spent approximately an hour wandering inside them when they discovered the nest. So given the time spent observing the first rocktail lizard specimen, I figure it's maybe 20 minutes more into the cave until we see it. Dr. Kinsiad has been trying to assure Dr. Briggs's fears by noting that we will be safely high off the ground, and unlike the young men who visited before us, we will be armed.
Stop talking to your damn tape for a second. I'm right here. Don't you fucking narrate over me. I want to head back. That thing was fucking fast, do you understand? You saw how fast that lizard threw the rocks, and it got out of the way of all of them. These things are quick when they want to be, Mason. I don't want to find out what happens when they see us.
Okay, Jeanette, how about this? Would it make you feel better if we use the night vision from here on in? That way they won't be able to see us, so you've got nothing to worry about. Jeanette, you've seen animals on expedition that we know can kill humans easily. What's the first thing you learn about those animals? What did you say the whole way here?
That if you leave them alone and stay out of their way, they won't bother you.
Exactly, Jeanette. These things are cave spiders. Cave spiders aren't aggressive creatures. If we leave them be and stay out of their way, and they can't even see us, we'll be fine.
Okay. I'll go. But I want this to go on record, on that little record you're keeping. I think this is a mistake.
Duly noted.
Dr. Mason Perry, September 14th, 1996, inside the Duluth Arrow Miner. I think it's about 5:15 a.m., but I don't want to turn on my watch light. We can see them. I don't think this is the nest that the locals described, though. There are only 4 of them here. Everything they said about these things is true. The big eye, the spindly legs. I can't speak to the grey skin or the redness of the eyes looking through these goggles, but Dr. Briggs confirms that earlier. I was expecting the wings to be larger, though. The rigid coverings only seem to go about halfway down the back. We're still at a pretty substantial distance, and even with these binoculars, I can't get enough to clarify, to make out a lot of the details. But I don't see a mouth on these creatures. They have 2 vertical slits just below the eye, it looks like. I think those are nostrils of some kind. Which is leading me to doubt that these creatures are any sort of arachnid or insect. They actually... Hey, Bill, does that look like a tail to you? Where? The closest to us. Look carefully. Sort of follows the arc of the back, but it's hanging there. Is that tail? Yeah, I think it is. Are these things reptiles? I don't think so. The back curves down and the tail follows it. Lizard spines don't arc like that. I think these things are mammals. They look hairless. That's not unheard of for subterranean mammals. And it could be short fur, right? I can't tell at this distance. Okay, you've seen them. Can we go now, please? Yeah, we probably should. Machin is gonna want to see these things for himself anyway.
Ah, shit. This is Dr. Mason Perry. September 14th, 5:43 a.m. We've retraced our steps back to the area where we first observed the rock-tailed lizard in action. Something's wrong. We followed the line up ahead about 300 feet and saw that it led us to a shallow pool of water. We could easily cross it, but none of us remembered crossing any water. Everything past this point feels extremely unfamiliar to us. This is what he does. This is what he does. This is what he does, and this is how he punishes trespassers. This is what he does. Jeanette's taking it pretty hard. This is what they said. This is what they said, that the Banduleth imprisons people in these caves. Didn't you listen? This is what he does. He's getting us lost. He's trying to confuse us. He's trying to draw us in deeper. His children have seen us. They know we're here, and we gave them time. We gave them time to retie our line to a new path that leads farther into the cave. Try to calm down, Jeanette. No cave demon is going to get us, okay? This is what he does. I wanted to turn back. We could have turned back. But you wanted to do your fucking research. And now we're all dead. We are dead. Do you understand me? Dead. We're going to follow the line. Jeanette doesn't want to, but she's more afraid of us staying here alone. It's possible that falling rocks or rising water have changed the terrain. We don't realize it. If we get to the end of the line and it turns out to be something did bite through, at least we'll know. The way I figure it, it'll be dawn soon. Daylight should be an easy enough source to follow to an exit if worst comes to worst. What the hell are these things? We've been following the line for about an hour. And about 20 minutes ago, we saw two more of them. They were standing rear to rear with their hindquarters touching, and lurching back and forth into each other. Grunting and buzzing with their eyes wide open and fixed on nothing. It looked like mating. I know insects will sometimes breed end to end like this, so now I'm doubting my suspicions that they were mammalian. I don't believe they saw us, but we've turned off the headlamps just in case. We're currently proceeding with night vision from here on in. This is... sorry. This is Mason Perry. Dr. Kinsiad is gone. He slipped off an edge and hit his head before falling. I don't know where he went. And oh God, I presume he's unconscious. As soon as he fell, Jeanette started running. She says one of the children grabbed his ankle and dragged him down. I wanted to go back for him, but she refuses. I don't have the gear or the skill necessary to climb down that edge by myself. We're leaving him, I guess. Hopefully we can get someone back in here to save him. Shit! Dr. Mason Perry. September 14th, 1996, inside the Duluth Arrow Miner. 7:27 a.m. Our line was definitely cut. The line led us directly to the ridge above the nest, so I suspect it was a prank by young locals. Naturally, Jeanette insists that it was Bandula's children trying to punish us. What we saw was grotesque. One of the creatures hung off the wall about 20 feet from the ground with its head facing the ceiling. It gave birth like that. 6 or 7 offspring fell directly onto the ground. The youngest died on impact, and a few more were killed when several of the adults mauled them. The 3 that survived only did so by slaughtering their attackers. We saw them feasting on one of the slain corpses, and we ran. At this point, we're exhausted, so we've set up camp. I'm taking first watch while Jeanette sleeps. If she's able. I killed one. It came upon the camp and I shot it. We were wrong about these animals. They're simians. They look disturbingly human. I suspect a heretofore unknown strain of hominid. They have no eyes. They're totally blind. What we thought was an eye is actually a mouth opening and shutting. They don't have wings either, it's a rib cage. It looks like a human that walks upside down, with its stomach pointing upwards. The mouth appears to be on the top of the head because of the inversion. And what I thought is a tail is actually the animal's genitals. They're extremely skinny, and their legs appear substantially longer than ordinary human legs. They lack much appreciable muscle mass, however, which is odd considering the speed at which they move and their tendency to climb. They have opposable digits on all 4 pedal extremities and... shit. Though it's apparent that the ones that should be feet are underdeveloped. I suspect the lack of muscle mass is owed to the creature's light weight. There is no way that this thing weighs more than 90 pounds. It's definitely hairless, covered completely in translucent white skin. Jeanette, she freaked out when she saw it, but calmed down considerably since then. In fact, she's calmer now than she has been since we first saw the creature. It could be that she knows what it is now, but I suspect that it's more has to do with the fact that these children can be killed. She's agreed to take second watch and let me catch a few hours sleep.
This is Jeanette Briggs, daughter of Samuel Briggs, human child of the land, man, God Christ. I now understand my duty. I am going to return to the nest of the children of Ban Duluth and offer myself as a sermon to the Earth God. I shall never escape these caves, so I will make myself a new home in the Duluth Alania, his kingdom beneath the earth. I'm leaving this message for Mason Perry, that he might join me.
Shit! Janet's disappeared. Shit! She left me a message on this machine saying she went back to the nest. Obviously, she's panicking worse than I realized. I have to go after her. If I don't make it back, whoever finds this, please tell my kids I love them. And get out. Get out now if you're still in the caves listening to this. Please press stop and run. Listen later. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. This is Mason Perry. Shit. I don't know what the hell fucking time it is. It's 9:30 a.m. Oh God, Janet's dead. I went to the nest, and Janet was standing in the middle of it, taking off her clothes. The children, they watched it. They were in a circle around her, just watching, and Janet bent over backwards like one of them, and they came at her. Oh, Christ! There were two. One on each. And they start... They ripped off huge chunks of her skin while they violated her. They just ripped her open. She was just a pile of wet meat. Oh, fucking Christ. There was nothing left, but they just started eating it. She never even screamed. She didn't make a sound at all. I think she wanted to die. It's been 2 weeks since I came to these god-forsaken caves. I've long run out of food. My efforts to catch rocktail lizards have netted me nothing but injuries. I've used the first aid kit in my pack to disinfect them and bandage them up as best I can, but I'm concerned about my ability to treat any further injuries. I found some water, which looked clear enough to supplement my water supply. Hopefully the rocks have done a passable job at filtering it. I've seen several of the children since Jeanette's death, but they don't come near me. I think it's the corpse of one of their own at my campsite that scares them off. I have a theory about the phylogeny of these creatures. I think that they were once an early group of hominids who were trapped in these caves when a rock slide closed the cave mouth. I think that they clung to the ceiling as much as possible to stay away from the rocktail lizard, or perhaps to get the drop on it when they were hungry. I suspect they developed their upside-down hang to give them better visibility of the tiny lizards on the cave floor and to help them see incoming rocks. Over time, their bodies changed to accommodate this lifestyle, until they were a formidable enough predator to walk on the ground again. When outside of the nest, they seemed to come down to the cave floors only to mate. By the time the rocks were finally cleared away from the mouth of the cave, they've become so dependent on the cave's darkness that they never even ventured outside. I am out of options. I am starving. I need food. I'm going to eat whatever meat I can salvage from the carcass at my campsite. Hopefully it will give me enough strength to try and... out. I suspect. It's been a week since I ate from the carcass. I didn't get any immediate digestion or signs of food poisoning, but since yesterday I've felt very ill. Lately I've come to wonder whether Janet was right about the children. At first I thought they might be primitive hominids, but I can't explain the guide wire. How could they be so smart to know to cut through our line and lead us to their nest? I don't think it was a prank anymore. I don't think anyone who knew these stories of these creatures would attempt to strand another human being in this dark hell. I thought the children might have cut the line out of curiosity and carried it with them as far as they could to the nest. Today I realized that it had been tied up at the campsite. How would they know to knot it in that way? I think that they were intentionally trying to trick us. Is the thing that the Tanichan call Banduluth responsible? Is there some superior intelligence or power guiding these creatures, and does it build an army of children from humans trapped in these caves? Are the children of Banduluth ancient hominids? Or disfigured humans? I can barely separate fact from fantasy in my mind. My watch slipped off my wrist 2 days ago and shattered. I've lost all sense of time. I'm losing weight too quickly. I expect to die soon. My eyes, they feel gummy and infected. Yesterday, I decided to start a fire to cook some of the carcass. I couldn't risk further infection, and I had no other food available. There was no wood, so I burned some of my clothes. Once I had eaten all of the meat on the carcass, I realized that I had lost the one thing keeping the children away from my camp. I tried to keep the fire going through the night in hopes that it would scare them away. I'm naked now and the fire is gone. I consider trying to burn anything in this dictaphone that seems flammable, but I've since thought better of it. I'll be trying this recorder to a guideline in the hopes that any rescue attempts might find it. Though given how long I've waited, I doubt anyone's coming. My back is killing me.
The tape ends there. According to testimony by Dr. Inciada, the rescuers spotted several of the creatures mentioned in the tapes during their second trip into the caves. On the fourth trips, when this tape was found, they opened fire on one which approached their party, scaring it away. They described this last as stouter than the others, and with what appeared to be bandages wrapped around its arms.
That concludes our tale for today. Return tomorrow for another horror-filled experience. Wherever you come from and wherever you're going, thank you for spending some time here with us at Sniper's Creepy Crypt. Remember, traveler, eyes ahead, don't look back. Until next time, good night and good luck.